two Puerto Ricans and a black girl. Today's topic is, can you be in love or can you love two people or be in love with two people? Same difference. Well,
Right.
maybe not. We're going to talk about that later. I am the Dope Widow.
I am the Love Guru.
And I am Mimi, the lifestyle diva. Welcome to this episode. Hey, beauties, how y'all doing?
Hey, ladies, how are you?
Hey.
Good. So, I was talking to y'all a little bit before we started recording. I'm in my feelings a little bit about this episode because I think I'm taking it too personal, like putting myself in it too much. But anyways, I digress. Here's my question. Is it possible to love two people at the same time? And if so, what does that look like for you?
So I'll go first because Jackie says I always go first.
I do. I just thought it. I was like, I always go first.
I'll go first. So for me, I'm actually might just answer that question with a question inside the question, my answer, your question. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Oh,
but
that was a tongue twister.
How can you emotionally stay connected to two people when there's so much depth to emotions? Like, how can you possibly be in love with two people? I personally think that there's a separation. Mm-hmm. You can love someone, you can be in love with someone. I think obviously there's a small distinction between the two, but I believe that they are completely different.
They are. It's a big difference to love somebody and be in love. Mm-hmm. That's very different. I don't think it's a small distinction. I think it's a huge difference in loving and being in love.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I was coming from the same vantage point that you guys were, the same thinking. I'm going to read what I wrote down because it's kind of like long. Yeah. So I put down, I believe when you fall in love, you gain fullness of self. Like when you're in love, you gain fullness of self. And what I mean by that is you love with transparency, you love with vulnerability, you love with sacrificially. It allows you to consider other people before you consider yourself. And I don't think you do all of those things when you just love somebody.
You're right. I'm a totally agree with you. I'm going to answer your question. Yes, I think it's possible to be in love with two people at the same time.
You do?
Yes. Each person brings something different to your life. They add something different to your life. And you feel different for these people because they, again, using the same word, they are different. They're unique in their own way. So I think that you can separate that love, but I think that you can be in love with two people. And I think you can be transparent with each person, but it's according to the relationship that you have with that particular person. So, I mean, it's not going to be the same transparency you're going to have with this person that you're going to have with that person because it's its own unique relationship. So you're going to conform and you're going to behave in a specific way because it's this person and this is the one that you're in love with, And then when you're with the other person or you're expressing your emotions with this other person, it's going to look totally different. But I think that you can love two people, love and be in love with two people at the same time. Love, yes, I can see that, but be in love, I say yes.
So you stated you can be in love with two people? Because when you're in love,
you can be in love with two people.
Because when you're in love, you're loving with your whole heart, with your soul, with your body, and every part of you is invested. You love with such an intensity that how can you be in love with two separate people? It takes away from the intensity of that love that you can give to a partner. It's not like I'm gonna give him $10 this month. Oh, this month I'm gonna buy you a shirt. Oh, next month I'll buy you some sneakers. It's not materialistic that you can kind of vary the objects, When you,
Mm-hmm.
how can you be in love
Mm-hmm.
with two people when you have to give of yourself completely to both? You can't really, that requires that time to build, to create that foundation, to create that security. I can't see me being able to do that with two separate people at the same time. Now, I said you can love and be in love, but I don't think you can be in love with two
Well,
people simultaneously.
the reason why I think I say that, and I'm gonna speak for myself as usual, that I can be in love with two people at the same time. When I hear you speak, Gigi, I hear you speaking from a long-term point of view. Like you're building, you're planning, you're looking towards, a future with this person. I get that. Not everyone is always looking to build, to have a future. Some people are just looking to have a partner or, date. And in the process of dating, you do fall in love. This is why I say that I believe you can fall in love with two people. It's definitely not going to be the same. Yes, like I said, you'll be transparent, but it's not going to be the same transparency. But like I said, I hear you speaking from a long-term standpoint, and not everyone is looking for a long-term. Some people are just looking to be with someone, to have a companion. And you know what? This guy makes me feel good. And, in the process, I've fallen in love with him, and I really love him, and I love what he brings to my life. But I'm also enjoying this other person, and I've fallen in love with him too. It's a difficult place to be in. It's a horrible triangle because, for being in love with two people, I get what you're saying, but I still think that you could be in love with two people at the same time. It's difficult. But yeah, I think it's possible if you're not looking for that long term, which is what I hear you speaking from.
Okay, because I have something else to add, but go ahead, Michelle, if you want to jump in.
Go ahead.
I kind of am leaning more towards what Gazelle is saying, because I just feel like in love, you have to give of yourself so much. And even if it's not a commit, even if it's not like a long-term relationship, when you say you're in love with somebody, that means you really put this person before your own needs. You have to spend time with this person all the time. You have to be attentive to them. You have to be considerate to everything with them. And I don't think love has all those sacrifices. Like you can still love somebody, like you can love somebody who you haven't seen for years. You see them and you're like, I still have love for them. But you haven't seen. But when you're in love with somebody, you have to make that time out to see them consistently. Like it needs to be some consistency there when you're in love with somebody. When you just love somebody, you can always have love in your heart for them because of how they made you feel, because you have some kind of soul tie or something like that. But I don't know.
But we got 7 days in the week, girl. I could break up 3 for this one and 4 for this one. Next week I do 4 for that one and 3 for this one.
I think she's crazy. I think that the two.
I agree with you on that you can do all of those things, but is that being in love when you?
No, I'm joking, ladies. I'm joking.
I mean, you can do that, no?
I think that when you have, I think the possibility of loving two people can happen when there's a breakup, right? And I think that if you don't have that emotional recouping time, you still have that emotional tie to your ex, right? And so, and even if you have that recouping time, you don't fall out of love with your ex until you start finding someone else, and then you fall in love with this new person. So I think that transition, that it can have that lingering love where you can still be in love with your ex, and then as you start dating this new person, you're like, okay, wait a minute, this can work, and then you start loving that new person that can eventually transition. I think the problem comes into play when you still have that, when that emotional tie doesn't disconnect from the ex, when they're still holding on to
Okay.
expectations. I think when you're still holding on to those expectations, that's when there's that red flag, that ding, ding, ding to the other partner. Like, wait a minute, you love me and you love them too. Like, at some point, someone in a triangle is going to want you to make some type of sound decision, whether it's the female or whether it's the male. But I do think you can love too, because I remember being in love with my ex, we break up, I'm devastated. A couple of years later, I meet someone else. And then that love is still there because you haven't had time to be in a new relationship. That old love and that old feeling is still there until you obviously meet this new person and you develop. But at some point, there has to be some type of tie. Like, you can't still want to have a future with your ex and then love the new person, if that makes any sense. Like, that love still lingers, but once you find this new person, you have to cut it off at some point.
Okay, so let me, I'm sorry, Mimi.
No,
Let
no,
me
no,
ask
no.
you a question.
Mhm.
So what if you meet this other person and you still, your ex, and you're still, you know, in love, like you're in love with your ex, but you fall in love with this person.
So I don't think you're
You don't
falling
think
in
that
love.
that can be possible?
I think so, but here's the key. Are you going to, while you're dating someone, again, it goes kind of back to like dating with that intention. Are you dating with the intention of possibly moving forward, or are you dating with the intention of being with somebody in the time being because you want to get back with your ex? You know what I'm saying? Because if that love is still there, at what point does that love cut off? It's like you can't have them both.
Do you think it has to cut off? I don't think you have to cut. Like, that's why I think
Love switches. You know what I'm saying?
But I think that's why it's a distinction between being in love and love. Like, because I could be with someone and still love somebody and still have love in my heart for somebody else.
But there's a difference.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, for sure.
There's a difference. You can clearly love someone, right? Because I think that all of us, if the exes weren't that bad, we probably still have love for them in some fashion.
Mm-hmm.
But there's such a difference when being in love, you just want to be with that person. How can you split that emotion between two people? So it could be I'm in like versus I'm in love. The I'm in like could be like the fatuation. You in love with their qualities, you really like those qualities, right? But is it really love? And that leads to a question that I had. How often do you find true love? And we had an episode on that. Like, is true love, I think true love is probably like one time, maybe twice. But I think true love is like one time. Like, how often can you say, I found true love? Ooh, I found true love. Nah, I found true love. How often do you experience that? Right? And what if true love comes when you are loving this other individual who has a lot of qualities, but all of a sudden, true love pops out of nowhere. Oh my God, I think this is the person. They have X, Y, and Z, but I'm with this person. What do I do? So you can.
So what is that person missing? What is your person missing that you're saying, oh, I think that this person may be the person?
Because sometimes, not sometimes, but more often, most people jump into relationship because they don't want to be by themselves. And it's like a let me just settle type of situation. Oh, they're cool. Let me see what this goes into. And let me continue dating and dating and dating them. And then next, you know, you're kind of with them. They're all right. They like, you know, about 80% of what I want. I could kind of rock with this. But then all of a sudden, out the blue, God may send you the person who has the 100%. And they have everything that you've always wanted. Like, And so how do you make that decision? It's so funny because I was just watching Castaway, and at the end, like Kelly and Jack, she got married because she thought he was dead.
I
And
didn't see.
you never saw Castaway with Tom Hanks?
Oh, Castaway with Tom Hanks. Oh yeah, but
And
is that
then,
with the
like,
ball?
that's you with Spalding, and he's on the
Yeah,
island, and
okay,
he
yeah.
comes back, and he's like, she's like, I can't. I'm married. I have this family, and then she runs to him. You're my one true love, and she hugs him and she kisses him, and they want to drive away, and then it's like, ding ding, damn, I'm married. I have a kid. They should have had a part two. Like, what do you do then? Your true love is there, but then you made this commitment. Some people stay with people out of that commitment, out of that guilt, out of that investment. But is that your true love? Are you really in love with them, or you just in love with them?
I mean, that's how I feel. Like, I feel like you can be in love with somebody and love somebody at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I feel like love has levels. Like, you can love people, you can love things, you love your family members,
Mm-hmm.
you love your house, you love, those are things that it just has levels. Like, and I feel like when you in love with somebody, you cannot put all these extensions on it. It has to be what it is. Like, your heart is so vested in this person that to give that time and energy to somebody else that you're giving to this person, I don't feel like it could be possible. I mean, you just made that point and made me think, well, damn, maybe you can be in love with two people at the same time, because that sounds like Bridges of Madison County. I don't know if you ever saw that, where it was the same scenario where she stayed
Mm-hmm.
this man because they had a family. He brought her here from Italy. They had a life that they built together. They had children.
Mm-hmm.
And then this other man came in the weekend, and she knew that this was her heart's desire. This was her true love.
Mm.
And when he left, it just ached her to her core to the day she died. And when she died, that was her request, to be with him in death. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, now I'm thinking, damn.
Thin line. But that's why I think there is a thin line between
It
love
is a thin line.
and in love.
But it's possible. There's a thin line, but it's possible to be in love with two people at one time. I think you have to experience it in order for you to say it's possible or not possible. If you don't experience that particular emotion
Mm-hmm.
with two people, there's no, I respect your opinions,
Mm-hmm.
but I just think that you can't say, no, that's not possible. If you've never been in that situation, then of course you're not going to feel that it's possible. But if you have been in that situation where you have been in love with two people, I think that, yeah, I think it is possible. I spoke to someone this morning, and in preparation, I said, let me ask someone from the outside, an
Of course.
audience member. And she quickly said, yes, of course, you could be in love with two people. It's not just loving two people, but literally be in love with these two people. Your feelings are invested. You want to spend time with this person. You enjoy to your life, or what contribute to their life. Guys have an amazing time together. Like, you just crave to be around this person, and you could crave to be around two people because, like I said, they both bring something different to your life or to the time that you spend together.
But who's so? I mean, listen. I'm so open to other, perspectives and thoughts. So who's being sacrificed? And when you're in love with two people, there's always something that's a sacrifice.
Exactly.
And that's what's perplexing me about being in love with two people, because it's like, and then it has to be some kind of deceit as well. Because if you're in love with two people, you have to be keeping those two people away from each other. So you have to be telling one person something. See, when I think you're in love with somebody, I don't think that there's no cheating and deception involved.
And I was going to say, there is no deception, because in the beginning, you make your feelings clear, and then you give that person the option. And this is one of the things that I talk about
Oh, you talking about some grown love.
Of course. And now you're a 21-year-old, you're not going to be able to do that at that age. But when you're old enough, you know what you want, whether you want a long-time commitment or you just want a companion. And in the beginning, you're 100% honest with that person. And you tell them, listen, I'm seeing this person, I'm seeing that one. I'm not looking for a long-term commitment, but you know, you're not a protector of your emotions, because we know the heart and the mind don't work in unison. So we could tell ourselves, listen, I'm not ready to fall in love with this person, but in the process, it happens. It does happen. So you give them the option. And this is what I was going to say about being honest in the beginning. And this is what I say all the time about men, that men are never honest, you know, when they want to, you know, dip and dab all over. They should be honest and give the woman the option to say, you know what, I could rock with this because I'm not looking for a commitment either. Or, you know what, no, I'm looking to get married in the long run. But if you could be honest and you guys are both adults and he's willing to continue with you, even though he knows that you're with somebody else, then hey, so be it.
But being with somebody else and being in love with them, but you tell the person that you're in love with somebody else.
No, I'm not.
That's what I'm saying.
You're disclosing. I'm saying that you're letting them know that you are seeing. For me, the topic is, can you be in love with two people? Not are you gonna tell them that you're in love? You don't need to tell them that.
But that's like
telling them is that you're seeing someone else.
That's the point of being in love is honesty, isn't it? Isn't in being in love having honesty? So you're not being honest.
I am being honest by telling you that I'm seeing somebody else. Yes, I am. I'm telling him I'm seeing somebody else. It's his option to say.
Doesn't mean I'm in love, because there's people who date. So
yeah, I dated. Totally haven't been in love.
You're in love, and if they might be looking for a long term, if they know that you're in love, then they might say this is not for me.
This is why in the beginning you make it clear, I'm not looking for a long-term relationship. And if that's what he's looking for as the relationship progresses, then that's your option to step out and say, listen, I told you from the beginning, this is not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in dating. What I'm saying is, the topic is, can you be in love with two people? Yes. Yes, and be in love with two people at the same time. It's not, am I gonna tell him this, or am I gonna tell?
That's where the difference lies between, because I feel like when you're in love with somebody, the honesty just comes. Like the two are connected, like they're not separated. Like I can for surely date more than one person and be straight up in the beginning. Like, listen, you know, I'm not looking for a committed relationship. Dating, you know, I'm dating and I'm not looking for anything serious right now. But once I fall in love with somebody, like, you know, I can't.
And that's your choice to let the other person know, listen, I'm no longer, because now you've made up your mind. You want to move forward with that person that you're in love with. See, again, this is a choice. This is a choice. You choose to date these two people. You choose to stay in love with these two people. If you say, I fell in love with him, now I changed my mind from where I started, I'm going to let Robert go and I'm going to go with Leo. You know, so it's a choice. You know, you make that decision along the way, but can you be in love with two people? Again, I'm gonna answer the question, which is what our topic is. It's a question. Can you be in love with two people at the same time? Yes.
I can say no.
Okay. All right, we gotta agree to disagree.
Right. Because of the emotion that is
I understand what you're saying, though.
Involved in loving someone. When you're truly in love, and that's why, once again, I think it's a fine line. When you're truly in love with someone, you don't have the emotional capability to think about someone else. You can love someone else, right? But I think that if you, I just can't see it happening for me.
I totally see what you're saying.
Now,
I feel like being in love is almost like ethereal. You know what I mean? It's like you almost feel like it's perfection as far as you feel it. Like, because for me to allow myself to be in love with somebody, I have to do so much work with myself. Like I have to put all my defenses down.
Yes.
I gotta allow myself to be like, to love them, even if they don't. Being in love with somebody, you could be in love with somebody and they're not in love with you. That means that you're really being in love, because you just love so hard that it doesn't even matter what the love that they reach, that they have for you is not the same. You know what I'm saying?
That's
like if you're totally vulnerable to your love, that's
That
when
is
you so that's why I think that a lot of people don't even know what love is, because love is so transparent.
There's people that are with their partners, they're not even in love with them. They just there because they feel comfortable.
Exactly.
They have kids.
But they love them, but they're not in love with them.
They love them, but they're not in love. And that's the difference.
Yeah.
And those are dry relationships, if for lack of a better word. That's just because, all right, he makes me feel comfortable, or she cooks, she makes me feel comfortable, she doesn't give me attitude, she doesn't stress me out. But is he in love with her? No. Is she in love with him? No. It's just sometimes it's for convenience. We cool, They're kind of like a friend, but they're not in love. They're just comfortable being with each other. And that is the worst kind of relationship to be in.
That's
a relationship where you're just cool, or, she's cool or he's cool. We have a good time together, but when you're not physically in love, you can't live without that person. You dying for that person to come home. You can't breathe without that person. Like, that's truly in love. Like, you want to be up under that person.
You can have that for two people?
No.
You can't get over that.
No, I didn't say that. I just said that those relationships, you guys are talking about these relationships where you're giving your all. And I said, yeah, there's some people who are not in love, and they just with that person because they're cool, or they gel well together. They have a good time. She cooks, he takes care of the bills, or whatever. It's just fun. Or, you know what? We've been together for a little while, and I love you, but are you in love? I'm just talking about that feeling, that euphoric feeling that you guys are talking about. Are you in love? Like, I can't, like, you be like, oh, my baby texts me. I can't wait to see him. Oh my God, when he, and can't breathe without that person. Like, that's like crazy euphoric love. And half of the people today, are they in those relationships? No, they just there because they cool, or it's convenient.
And don't get me wrong, I don't think it's anything wrong with being in a relationship when you're not in love with somebody, because when you're in love with somebody, it can distort a lot of things, as far as because you're almost.
Yeah, but if that love is for you, nothing is going to be distorted, because they're going to be on the same page like you.
I don't know.
You don't think so? If that love is for you, Gigi. So if that love is for you and he feels the same way you feel,
I mean, if you say
it's going to be distorted, I think it will be the same.
But I don't mean distortion in a bad. I don't mean distortion in a way that, like.
What you mean, like cloudy judgment on things?
Where you're just so out of yourself, like you just do anything. Like it's almost like you're on drugs. You know what I mean?
I don't think at my old lady age I'll be distorted.
No, I'm just giving I'm just giving, of what I think being in love takes you to. Like it takes you to a state where you're almost outside of yourself.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Where you in love with somebody, you can be more reasonable.
Yes. But again, I think that honestly, if we all just fall back and let the Lord find our person, we will be multiplying, you know what I'm saying?
Amen, girl.
Confused. I think if we fall back, because I've experienced both levels and it's different. And I've experienced being in love with an ex where I thought I was in love because he broke my heart. And so when I met the next person, I loved them and I thought I was in love with them. And I guess thought I was in love with both of them. But when I look back, I wasn't in love with my ex. I was in love with what he was able to bring to the table.
Yes.
I was in love with what he looked like, the fact that he was educated, the fact that he had a job, everything that he can bring me. I thought I was missing out on that. That's what I was in love with when I look back.
Yeah.
So I really wasn't in love with two people. You in love with that facade of
You think you're in love with the idea.
With the idea of what I'm missing out of, or what someone else can
It's getting. Yep.
And that's where my brokenness came into play. I'm never going to be able to find someone like this again. I'm never going to be able to find someone that can take care of me and love me like this again. And so because I was in love with them, and so you hold on to those same emotions and you think that that's your true love, and then you realize when you're older, this is not your true love. I didn't love two people at the same time. I have love for that person. I want nothing to happen to them.
Right, you're gonna cry at their funeral, but you ain't in love with them.
But I'm not in love with them. When I thought I was
You're so extra, Mimi.
I was in a vulnerable place. And when you're in that state of vulnerability, you don't look at love with clear eyes. You're looking at what you're missing. Maybe.
I don't think and like Jackie said, I don't think I've never experienced that, being in love with two people at the same time. Like I've had love for two people at the same time, but being in love with two people at the same time, I've never experienced that. I don't think so.
I loved, and I realized I wasn't in love, and then I fell in love. So it wasn't simultaneous, but it was almost like my judgment was clouded based on what I thought I was going to be missing.
Because I feel like love is an action word too. And so when there's no doing, you're not doing anything for this person. And I don't mean like this materialistic things. You're not spending time, you're not doing, you're not checking in on,
my love languages. You're not giving me any of my love languages.
How can you love when there's no action behind it? Like I don't think I've ever been in love with two people. I've definitely loved two people.
Yeah, I don't think I've been in love with two people either. Like even with my husband, it might sound crazy, but because I've had all this time to heal, I'm always going to love my husband.
That's of course. That's a perfect example.
Never going to stop. But right. You mentioned love, and being in love with someone is an action. Love is an action. They're not here to fulfill my love languages. My husband is not here. So I can't be in love if it's not an action that's taking place. But I'm always going to love him.
Absolutely.
Right. I mean, I need something.
The love is not being reciprocated.
Exactly. So you can't be in love if that action is not there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I hear you. I understand.
Makes sense?
It does. Totally. You guys make total sense, and I totally get where you guys are.
No, makes sense though. No, I'm joking.
I know I don't make sense. It's okay. It makes sense to me.
I get it because I asked a couple of friends, and I looked at some forums like ours before I got on here, and I asked 3 people who I really respect their opinion. 2 people I knew they were going to say that you could love 2 people at the same time, and one of them said no, you can't love at the same time. And they gave some of the same points that you said, Jackie, about there's different levels.
Yeah.
And I get that. That there's different levels. You love one person because they give this, they're fulfilling this need. This person is this way when you're with them. But do you really have that soul tie? Is it really? And I mean, for me, that would be exhausting of giving myself to 2 people like that.
It's hard to give to one person.
And that's why I always think if you're in love with somebody, the person who you saying you're in love with too, if that person is being sacrificed, then you're really not in love with them. You just love them. You have some love in your heart for them. Mm-hmm. But the person who you're giving to, who you feeding, that's who you're in love with. Mm. I don't know.
I mean, it was a hot one for the chicas this week.
It was a good one. It definitely was.
This was a hot
one. I can't wait to read the comments from our audience.
I know because they was in it for
they've been very vocal and they've been giving their opinions and their feedback. So I'm looking forward to see what the audience has to say about this topic.
Yes, me too. I can't wait.
Yeah, this was a good one.
Yeah. Anybody else got any closing thoughts or anything else to say?
No. I'll keep my thoughts to myself since I'm outnumbered this week.
No. Share.
I'm outnumbered this week, so I'll keep my thoughts
your
to myself.
thoughts. Share your thoughts.
No, I'm good. I said what I thought, you know.
Yeah.
And I stand by it. Nah.
And that's your final answer.
And that's my final answer.
And that's really odd, honestly, coming from the love guru.
You know what? When I was mentally preparing, you guys are amazing because you guys do this research and you write down your questions. You guys are so good. But I mentally prepare. Like I talk it out in my head, you know, and I gather my questions in my head and whatever. I think, you know, Mimi always starts with her questions. So I'm trying to guess what Mimi's first question is gonna be, so I'm prepared for our podcast.
Right.
But I was mentally preparing for the podcast and the topic. You know, I had to sit down and I had to think back to my earlier years.
Right.
You know, like it took me back there because right now that's not the space I'm in.
Exactly.
Am I in love with two people? No, right now I could not be in love with two people because, as Gigi mentioned, that shit is exhausting. I have to give yourself to two people. I don't have time to live a double life. Listen, I don't even have time to live the life that I have right now. Imagine trying to add another guy to my life on top of the one that I have. I don't have time for that. But thinking back to my earlier years when I was 21, 22, hell yeah, I could have done that. I could have been in a relationship with two people and said, yeah, I'm in love with both of them. But
so the age factor, you open
my life is too busy, Mimi. My life is too busy. Like I work, I come home, I have a child that I have to take care of, I have to interact with him. Like, you know, my job is not leave work and your job is over. No, I come home and I still have to work. My job is 365 days, 24 hours, to be honest.
Right.
You know? So at this moment, yes, I would have to chalk it up to age because I don't have the time that I had when I was 21. You know, I have too many responsibilities. I have businesses that I want to run. I don't have time to do that. Let alone have time right now to say, oh, I want to go on a date. I don't have time to be dating. I don't.
That's another, I didn't, consider that perspective. I mean, even though I still think, being in love, but you definitely, when you're younger, can juggle more and say, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is so-and-so, then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is priority. But I still think that's not in love because you're going to be it's deception in it. I don't think when you're in love, it has any deception. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like an emotional infidelity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The emotions. I don't know.
Yeah.
This was a hot one, people.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Muy caliente.
Very much so. So next time.
On where?
What? Oh, Puerto Ricans and a
Black girl.
Yo.
Love you guys.
Bye, guys.
I like how we present